Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to On the Mic with Mike, the best business radio program around. We're the best because we get the best guests. We Last week we had a good friend in the program on. Anybody know one of my favorite people and guests is Kim Ely. She is our favorite wordsmith, editor, and all around low key person. She's a good friend from the Synapse days, and when she's here, she told me that she had her own Synapse heaven, and I said, "So Kim, where is it?" And she says, "Podium," and I said, "What's Podium RVA?" And boy, she lit up. One of the great things about having your own radio program, ladies and gentlemen, this is Mike King. We get to talk to folks after they're mentioned. With us right now, we have Vicky Urian from Podium RVA. Did I get it right?
That's perfect. That's perfect, Mike.
Alrighty. Okay, so word on the street is you guys are doing some really cool things, helping our young people that are out there. Uh, Kim was like really, really, really excited with the work that you're doing. She said she hadn't seen a group like yours. Let our listeners know here on ESPN Richmond what you guys are doing, and then I have some questions and we can go from there.
Right on. Awesome. And we have just been so fortunate to have Kim join our podium family. And she's come out to two events where we've had some students, some alumni join us. So she's dived right in. So Podium, who we are, we do writing, communication, leadership programs for middle school age youth, high school age youth, and recent graduates here in Richmond City. And so we're really working to help our young folks become confident and capable, like I said, writers, communicators, and leaders. And really, we're looking for to create space for them to succeed, whether it be, school goals, goals for their professional or just, personal goals, life goals. And so, we do that by meeting every week all year round, because like we say, a podium writing never stops. So we do weekly meetings with our young folks. So that looks like after school programs. It looks like programs at Boys and Girls Clubs, at YMCAs, communities and schools. Next up, RVA. So I just wanted to do a shout out to a couple of our partners. We definitely would not be where we are without, Metro Richmond Boys and Girls Club, our YMCAs, our Richmond City Public Schools. And so what we do is we meet weekly with our young folks. We do writing and communication hands-on activities where we're collaborating, where we're building our essential skills to just, be proud of who we are, to share our stories, our perspectives. A lot of times young folks don't know, when you ask, hey, what do you think about writing? Our young folks say, hey, writing's it's a homework assignment, or maybe it's something you do when you get in trouble. And they haven't really had a space necessarily to use writing as a tool for themselves. And so we really work to help build that, because you can process your emotions, you can think through your feelings, you can work through disagreements, you can just kind of reflect on who you are and grow all by using writing. We also do publications. So we'll do quarterly zines and an annual literary journal. We're getting ready to publish for the first time in print in a couple of years, journal number 11, for our young folks to welcome them back to school in person this fall. We also do showcases. So things like open mics, regional debates, whatever our young folks and our families are really looking for us to do. So we just hosted April 29th, an open mic night. And that's where Kim had recently just come from.
So wait a second. So we got to talk. I have a music series that I do. It's called the Swagger Studio series. I have local artists and people. We got to do something with, and we do it at the Common House on 303 West Broad. We got to talk about having something. I'm going to have a hip hop rap cipher coming up in a couple weeks, but I'd like to do something with your folks right there because, see, I'm old enough to know what the thing behind you, the image is a pencil. Let's talk a little bit about writing. When people my age or older folks, we think of writing in pencil. How has writing changed? Because the words have values, and you're talking to words are currency, and you're talking to your young folks about that right there. Talk a little bit about how it's changed from the time when I was of age and we had those little stubby pencils to now, where do they still write with pencil? Like, what's the writing process now?
That's a very great question. And it depends really on where we are in our global pandemic situation, because in 2019, In the beginning of 2020, we were meeting in person, at our, youth community centers, at our schools after school. And we were using, by and large, we still use that paper and pencil model, because there's really something special, right, to, putting that pen and paper to work, physically in front of you, having some sort of a paper to look at to say, hey, what if we change, where this sentence goes? And so there's something kind of magical about that paper to pen. Now, I will also say that we are very open, and we have tablets, things like that for our young folks. We are open and flexible to if our young folks want to, write on their phone as well. And that is because, let me tell you, when we first started letting our young folks write digitally, oh my gosh, I think that like they can type the way that they type, and then, it keeps up with the thoughts in their head. Sometimes, they think so fast, and you can type out, how quickly you're thinking, but when you write, sometimes you can't write as fast as you're thinking. And so we notice sometimes that our young folks, if we're flexible and open to, how they, want to write, and that's really what Podium's about, is creating that space for young folks where they feel supported. That, like I said, we saw, stories that would be one paragraph turn into a 4-paragraph, 5-paragraph story in the same amount of time, just because they were able to, fly through. So I think technology, there's some specialness and uniqueness to the art of paper and pen, and that really speaks to some folks. But at the same time, I think, having technology allows sometimes folks who are thinking at 1,000,000 miles an hour to actually, catch up with their thoughts.
You know what? One of the great things about having your own radio show is I never thought of that. And because I see my sons and folks out there, they're typing 1,000,000 miles an hour, and there's no, like you said, there's no way I could write that fast. There's
Exactly.
no way.
Hmm.
Okay. See, I learn something every day by hosting this show. So, let's talk about. I talk to people about game changers. What's your how did you end up at Podium, and how do you become one of the folks who's out there trying to change the world?
Right on. Well, how do you, become a part of Podium? You talking about just in general, how to become
In
part of
general, and
Podium?
then how
Okay.
did you end up at Podium? Like,
Oh,
what's
okay.
what's your story there?
Right on, right on. Well, just to start out, let folks know, hey, how do you become, a part of Podium? Like I said, of course, we go where our young folks are. So, 10 to 1, if you have, after school programs at your school, or if you live by a YMCA center, a Boys and Girls Club, and you go there, in your after school hours, 10 to 1, there's a Podium program there, or we could very easily put a Podium program there. So what I like to tell folks is we spent a lot of time revising our website last year, www.podiumrva.org. So if you are a young person looking for programs, or maybe you want to submit a piece for publication, if you are a parent or, a community member, and you're saying, hey, I'm interested in getting, a writing, a communication, a leadership mentorship program, whatever, from Podium into my facility, there's resources on our website to request that. If you want to volunteer, if you want to, maybe you're a college student and you want to intern with us, there is also the application to join our team, to say, hey, this is my availability, this is what I'm interested in. It's all right there on the website. So again, www.podiumrva.org. It is a great hub to, one, get to know a little bit more about who we are, what we do, and find out how you can get involved, whether it be, being a young person in a program, or, wanting to be published, being a parent or a community member that wants to start a program, or being somebody that wants to volunteer their time, or even, intern with us. There's so many ways to get involved. Now, me personally, I started actually as a volunteer and intern. So way back in 2009, when Vicki first moved here to Richmond, Virginia, I moved here to go to VCU, and a couple weeks in, I went to this information session. They said, hey, do you care about, the art of creative expression? Do you care about, young folks in your community? Do you want to, be more part of the Richmond community and not just be a college kid? I
They
said,
had you
well,
at a low. They
yep.
had
They
you.
said, yep. I check. And so I did 3 years after school at Armstrong High School. We did a wonderful, weekly program there. I came back and served 5 years as our programs director. And then in January of 2020, started as our executive director. So I've been part of the Podium family for quite some time.
So congratulations on that. What you're doing out there is outstanding. Mike King Vicky's here with us from Podium RVA. They're out there helping our young folks with the writing process. You talked to a lot of young folks out there. What's the mindset, or how are people doing uh, during the pandemic, remote learning, and the idea of going back to school? What are the young folks out there saying to you?
I mean, there's a lot going on, and so I really feel, for our young folks. And we have really tried to create, virtual spaces for them as best as we can this past year, and so we are so thankful to have been served. Last year we served over 300 young folks. Our There's a lot of mixed, feelings. Some folks are, really excited and ready to get out of their house and to go back to, a more teen or youth centered space, to see their friends again, that they might not be able to see, unless they are all out of school or, facility, things like that. We have some folks who, have, heightened anxiety because they, haven't been in school settings for a while. They haven't seen a lot of people, they don't, we all have different access to, health and health care and vaccinations and, risks of family members who we live with. And so some of our young folks are, well, some are, ready to go back to school. Some are, worried and nervous, and they don't know what to expect. We were working with mentors at a high school, Highland Springs High School in Henrico County. And they were talking about a lot of the reasons why they wanted to become mentors is because they were mentoring freshmen who literally they didn't even get to step foot into school their very first year of high school until, right after spring break. And, in Richmond City Public Schools, we were virtual the whole year. So, you won't get to step foot into school until, the fall when it's your sophomore year, of school. And so there's a lot of, extra pressure that, you and I didn't
That's
necessarily
true.
experience, right? Because we got to go, school to school to school. Maybe it looked a little, different, what have you, where we live, where we came from. But oh my gosh, I mean, to just not be able to go to a school to have a space. And another thing we have to really focus on is educational equity as well, because, if we're working with students who, maybe don't have access to internet full time, or maybe the internet, isn't strong enough to have, a Zoom for them and a Zoom for their little sibling and a Zoom for their older sibling going at the same time. And so they're having trouble connecting to school. We really, serve a lot of folks who, maybe don't have a private room at home where they can go and just sit down and learn for a couple hours. And so there's a lot of, equity that goes into that conversation as well. Hey, how are we making sure that our young folks aren't falling, a year, 2 years behind just because they had to be virtual, for our public health and safety?
Mike King here with Vicky from Podium RVA. She's dropping nuggets of knowledge on us. Some of the things you think about, like from a business standpoint, the world is go go go. We're opening up. We don't care. People are ready to go. But then when you think about it, there's a lot of apprehension about younger folks going back to school, like all those things right there. Or for people who don't realize, there are a ton of people out there. I haven't had dial up since, I don't know, the late 90s. There's still people who have dial up. And we don't think about that. One of the great things about the program is we had on a lady who runs, Julie Trim, who runs the bus GRTC, that you know that the bus company doesn't make the money off of people riding the buses, and we're just gonna let you ride for free. It helps the economy. It helps people out right there. It helps people get out. The most vulnerable of the society are the ones we have to look out for the most. And right now, it's the kids. Can you talk a little bit about? Okay, that's my podium. My soapbox speech there. Sorry about that. Can you talk about the power of words and writing, and what that means to young people in success?
Oh my gosh. I mean, those are just so intimately connected. And I really love that put the power of your words, writing, success all together, because, that's a huge focus of what we do at Podium. I mean, the whole point is to, make a space where you can be proud of who you are, of your story, of your words. So much of what we write about is what we know. And so, on top of, our young folks learning the critical academic and skills and, professional skills that they need, A lot of times our young folks maybe, experience things like, especially in Richmond, like heightened levels of community violence. And so, we have to create spaces where our young folks can really share who they are, what they know, their experiences in a way that doesn't, harm or hurt or, re-traumatize young folks as well. And so we really focus on making sure that, hey, first of all, you are all of your identities. We should be proud and celebratory of them. And let's create safe and supportive spaces for, if you've had the best of days, let's share that out. But if you've had, the worst of days, let's also have a space where we can share that out, safely too. And so for me, the power of words is just, it's just monumental. I mean, at Podium, you go from seeing young folks who aren't confident with themselves or who maybe, have never shared any of their work before with anybody, and then maybe one day you'll get a, hey, Miss Vicky, I wrote this piece. Would you read it and tell me what you think? And then maybe a couple weeks later, they go, hey, Miss Vicky, I want to read this piece out, but I'm scared. Would you mind reading it out loud for me? And then you get to a point where you say, hey, I can read this piece out loud. But it really, the power comes from when you read it because it's your words. And then they take that leap and then they read that first piece out loud, and then we don't go back from there, right? We only push forward. And so all of a sudden, then they start raising their hand, volunteering. Maybe they, come to open mics. Maybe they're running open mics down the road. And so the power of words is just to build up who you are and to be, again, proud and celebratory of who you are and to share that. I mean, it makes all the difference. And then, in regards to success and professionalism, I mean, that goes hand in hand, right? Because if you have self-confidence, right? If you feel, if you have the ability not only to write out your thoughts, but to also communicate them in a way that's effective and meaningful for folks. I mean, the sky's your limit, right? No matter if you're going to be a biochemical engineer or, a medical doctor, or you're going to be a lawyer, or you're going to be a publisher or a writer, right? You need to know how to communicate. You need to know how to write, share your thoughts out. And so whatever your path of success is, whatever your definition of success is, right, we're here at Podium to help our young folks, figure that out for themselves and to help them find, those paths, because it might not always look the same for people, and that's okay.
On the mic with Mike, we have Vicky from Podium RVA here, doing some outstanding things in the community. Once again, we'd like to thank a good friend, Kim Ely, KWE Publishing, for bringing you to our attention. We always talk about the game changers out there, and it takes other folks like her to tell us who's out there making, making big things happen. We'd like to thank our show sponsor, which is Andy Taylor and Junk Luggers. They give us the ability to stay on the air and talk to great folks like Vicky. Okay, ma'am, you're out there changing the world, but what does Podium need? Like, I know you guys have needs because you can't do this without that. What's needed for you guys to continue to be able to help our youngest society members?
Well, first and foremost, just helping us get the word out about who we are and what we do. We are very youth centered and youth focused. And so sometimes, it takes some extra effort to say, hey, oh my gosh, let's get on the mic with Mike. This is important. This is something we need to do. And so, helping us get the word out, if you have a podcast, if you have a radio show, if you have something that says, hey, let's showcase and highlight the wonderful work that our young folks are doing. We would love to be part of that process. Being part of our virtual campaigns or our events is another great way to get involved. Like Kim was probably sharing last week, we hosted an alumni and community open mic where we had current students, we had alumni, we had our community supporters all come out and share together. And that was a wonderful way to get involved. And along with that, we had, a fundraising campaign, and we raised up to 110% of our goal for the month of April, because of the wonderful folks who came out to support us. We had about 30 people attend our open mic on Zoom, of course. And we hope to get back in person, soon. So what's coming up next in June? We have June 17th from 5:30 p.m. We have a awesome adult spelling bee 1.5 happy hours.
Okay, wait, hold up a second. Let's. So wait a second. You got what's this about a happy hour and a spelling bee? Please explain our listeners. His listeners' ears perked up.
Absolutely. So it is because, we still want to be safe. We want to be supportive for folks. This is still a virtual based event. However, of course, because it is a virtual event, I mean, you could be at a spelling bee anywhere, right? We could be spelling in our backyard, we could be spelling at our favorite bar, what have you. Um, but essentially, teams of 2 or teams of 3, right? We'll have 2 separate competitions. First place teams will get a plaque to share and individual first place ribbons. We are so excited. We are going to have 15 rounds of flash lightning spelling online.
This is crazy. This is crazy. You know that, right? This is.
Listen, I'm worried about, I'm supposed to be one of the announcers. I'm worried I'm not even gonna be able to pronounce half these words. I got to do some extra research and study on this. The spelling bee it is a competition of sorts.
You better. I'm going to be watching Aquila and the Bee. I'm going to be watching that to try and up the game. Okay, so I love fun things. We gotta get involved in this craziness somehow. On the mic with Mike with Podium RVA's executive director Vicky is here with us. She's telling us that they're going to have a spelling bee. Yes, that happy hour spelling bee, which is you put the. I don't know if I've ever heard those two put together.
Now, we've hosted an in-person spelling bee in the past, and I will tell you that some team strategy 100% revolves around the fact that it is a happy hour based event. Now, I'm not going to say whether or not that does, a positive benefit, negative benefit, what have you, but I'm saying it's part of some team strategies.
I like that team. It's like because that team throws caution to the wind. It's we're being different. So okay, so what's the date on that craziness again?
So that is going to be next month. It'll be Thursday, June 17th.
And how does that work again?
So basically, all you have to do, whether or not you want to view, whether or not you want to compete and participate, right? That you can view the event, have your friends come cheer you on, or you can be a competitor, right? We don't discriminate. Basically, you go to www.podiumrva.org/events. Boom. And that's going to pop up right there for you. So all the information you need, whether or not you want to view the event, whether or not you want to compete in your team of 2 and your team of 3, we have sponsorship opportunities out there as well for folks. But yeah, just you go to our website and it is going to be right there for you on the homepage, on the event page, all the information you need.
Considering we are ESPN Richmond, and it happened with the spelling bee on ESPN. Uh,
Oh yeah.
we have to have the winner on because that's what we do. The winner of the Podium RVA Spelling Bee Happy Hour Spelling Bee contest. On the mic with Mike, as I say, we bring the best and the brightest here, and that's what we're talking to today. Vicky with Podium RVA is here. So let me ask you: when you look out there, I always ask people, what gives you hope? And you're out there touching young folks to make them understand or help them see the possibilities. What gives you hope? Because you're in a business that you deal with a lot of young people, and right now we're coming through some difficult times. So we're leaning on you, ma'am. The floor is yours. Give us some hope, please.
So for me, hope comes in the form of what our young people, say and what they do every single day. I mean, for me, just seeing, when they say to us, hey, it's okay that we're meeting virtually right now. It's okay that we're doing this. We're excited to get back to how we, to seeing everybody in person. I mean, our young folks are really the hope and inspiration for us at Podium. So I know right now there's been a lot of discouragement, or just some, hey, I'm lonely. I've been, the COVID has really kind of put us all in our own little bubbles. But our young folks, they say, that's not all we are. That's not everything, that's out there. And so I would like, if it's okay,
It definitely is. Go ahead. Go ahead. The mic is
okay,
yours.
I have this little piece that we published in the fall that I wanted to share to help, because I could talk, but it's really our young folks, right, that give me the hope. So if it's okay with you, I just have a little piece I'd love to share. This is from a student, Amani from Armstrong High School. This is something that she submitted to us this fall. It's called Girl Get Up. Don't you know who you are? You are a queen in the making. Don't let anybody tell you different. Your brown skin, bodacious hips, and your fine curves are what make you. Never doubt your beauty. Girl, get up. It's about time you awaken and find your worth. Stop looking down on yourself like you're not enough or you're useless. You are more than enough. Girl, get up. What makes you think this mind state you are in? It's not you. You have a whole future ahead of you, so let's get it. Girl, get up. And so to me, that
Okay.
that piece stuck out.
We're not going to have one of those Jerry Maguire moments where I'm crying at the end. We're not going to do that. We're not. We're not doing that. I tell you that's powerful, and you know, you're helping the next generation of leaders learn to express themselves. It's very important. So we got to talk about the offline. Let's talk a little bit about the happy hour event, but also talking as well about having something for my music series, the Swagger Studio series, about showcasing what your folks are doing. So, once again, let people know how they can find you and how they can help out.
Absolutely, absolutely. And thank you so much for that, by the way. We are so looking forward to continuing and to doing that feature with our young folks. So if you are interested in getting involved with Podium, whether you are a young person looking for a program, whether you are a parent or a community member looking to start a program, or whether you are a wonderful, person who wants to volunteer and give back. If you go to www.podiumrva.org, you can find all of that information right there.
Alrighty, Mike King, Vicky Ryan is here with us from Podium RVA. I'd like to thank her for coming on the program. Like I said, we'll be in touch, and we're going to showcase you guys what you guys are out there doing is outstanding. I appreciate the time. Once again, thanks to Kim Ely for connecting us. On the mic with Mike, we bring you the best and brightest. That's what we do. ESPN Richmond 106.1, The Choice 105.3. That's where you find us. Thanks now. Take care. Take care. Bye bye.